Welcome to In the Studio on Davis Media Access. I'm Tim Gaffaney. Well, they enrich the silver screen, bringing light to ideas and stories. I'm talking about the Davis Film Fest, and this year it's at the Davis Veterans Memorial Theater on Sunday, November 5th. Here to tell us more about the fest is founder and festival director Judith Plank. Judith is an actor, author, and filmmaker herself. Her screenplays have won a place called Sacramento Screenwriting Competition for 2 years in a row. And her films Butterscotch and Buddies, which she also directed and produced, came out of this highly competitive competition. Judith is also an accomplished Toastmasters speaker, having won several awards at Northern California competitions. Judith, thank you so much for being here today to talk about the fest.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Well, first off, congratulations on 15 years of the festival. Did you dare guess when you started the festival in 2003 that you'd still be going today?
You know, I it's a great question. I didn't think at the moment. I was just so excited to fill a niche in Davis. There was no film festival in Davis at the time in 2003 when I started. So, um I was a film festival volunteer for many years at different film festivals in Northern California. And I brought a film to the Varsity Theater, just one film that I that had just played at Sundance, and the whole theater was packed. So I said, "Wow, I can do this in a bigger way. People are starving for good films and all of that in Davis, and there was no film festival, so I said, I'm going to do it." In 2003 I founded the festival. So I'm so excited to be having done it for 15 years. Thank you. Mhm.
So, this year, if I'm correct, there will be 15 films at the fest. Um, can you tell us something about the different categories, if there are categories that these films fall into, and maybe something about your selection process for those films?
Let's see um, there's an international database called Film Freeway, and that's my cat Henry, by the way. Um, and It's called Film Freeway, and films from all over the world submit their films on Film Freeway, and that's how we choose which films will be in our festival. It's a great database. Years ago, there was a database called Without a Box, and that lasted about 10 years, but that went under, and Film Freeway is a lot better. So that's how we choose our films. We have the categories of narrative, documentary, experimental, and animation. So those are the four categories.
What does experimental mean in this sense then? Could you describe or give an example maybe?
Let's see. That's a great question. I think people know the documentary and the narrative. Narrative or feature is let's see, and then animation is obvious. Experimental. Sometimes experimental films are works in progress. That's another possibility under the category of experimental. That they're not quite finished yet, but we see that they're so interesting and have great potential, so we put an unfinished film in, and it's been fine. Experimental is just sometimes it's just showing dots on a. It's very abstract. It can be abstract. Gosh, I haven't been asked this question. Great question. Experimental is just experimental. You're just trying all kinds of things.
Okay.
It's not necessarily fitting into the other categories.
Okay. Now, given those different categories, is it possible for there to be a theme for the fest?
Oh, a theme for the festival.
Yeah.
People have asked me that in the past. A lot of festivals have themes, or I don't know how many do, but ours is just our quote is films from around the world in our own backyard. And I'm not sure what a theme
Okay.
would be. We're just the Davis
Okay.
Film Festival, and we include, like I
That's
said,
good.
films from all over, and also short films as well as feature length. There are a couple other film festivals in Davis, the Davis Feminist Film Festival, and then there's the UC Davis Film Festival where students do 8-minute films. But neither one of these festivals has full length, feature length. So we are
Mhm.
really in um,
Okay.
following the model of all the big film festivals in the world. We just have films from all different lengths and from all over the world, as well as our own backyard. So
So I'm just curious, especially since this is coming potentially from around the world, if you've selected 15, how many films are you reviewing before you cut it down to 15?
oh, I see. Gosh, 40,
Okay.
possibly
Uh-huh.
40
And
films. Well,
okay.
actually,
Uh-huh.
normally it's 22, but because there were a couple of feature-length films here, and Al Remmers is one of them. We have fewer films this year, but because we have a couple longer ones. Normally, there's about 20 or 22 films.
Okay. So, and this year, do you in fact have films from all over the world? And if so, could you name some of the locations they've come from?
Absolutely, we have a 30-minute film Sunday night from Poland. Uh, we have uh, we have a film from Ukraine. We have a film from Georgia that supports Ukraine, and let's see, we have a Korean drama that's the was shot in Sacramento though, but so that doesn't really apply. But yes, Poland, Ukraine, Georgia. Let's see, what else? Those are the international films.
Mhm, mhm. And then do you actually have some, well, you mentioned that the Korean film was filmed in Sacramento. Do you have other local filmmakers being highlighted here?
Yes, we have the Korean filmmaker. The director said it's the first Korean drama to be shot in the Sacramento area. Then we have two local filmmakers, two Davis filmmakers.
Uh-huh.
One is about talking about e-waste and how we need to be aware of e-waste and how it's affecting our communities. And that's Sunday afternoon. And we have another local filmmaker. I'm trying to remember. Yes, we have another Davis filmmaker. Anyway, we have two
Mhm,
filmmakers who graduated from Davis and they live in the LA area now, but they are
mhm.
from Davis. So we've got some local talent here for sure.
That's great. Do you mind just dropping those names since we're doing a Davis show here? Who are the Davis filmmakers?
Okay, let's see.
Sorry, don't mean to put you on the spot.
um,
That's
I
okay. That's
just
okay. Yeah.
there's so much that
Um,
goes on. I'm in the middle of so much
yeah,
right now. It's
absolutely.
unbelievable what goes on
Well, let me ask you
to
this.
prepare, and
Will
it's on the
they
website.
or any of Okay, great. And will they or any of the other filmmakers then actually be present at the
Yes,
program on the Okay.
yes.
And will there be a Q&A session at all?
We're going to start doing that this year. We didn't do it last year, but we're going to introduce the filmmakers and have a little bit of a Q&A. Yeah, it's really
That's
good that they
great.
get
That's great.
noticed for their films, and for
Right.
their
And so
attendance.
if you've plucked these films from you could say again the name of the website or the online source that they've submitted to.
Yeah, our website is davisfilmfest.org.
Uh-huh. And then the source for the films that you when you pull them from, there was a source you mentioned,
Oh,
um,
filmfreeway.com.
Film Free. So these filmmakers could be also shown. Their films could also be shown at other film festivals throughout the country or the world then as well that might be drawing on the
Absolutely.
same resource. Oh, that's uh-huh. Okay.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned the fact that you're having the Q&A session for the first time this year. Are there any other changes you've made over the last 15 seasons of this, 20 years on the calendar?
Yeah, actually, to clarify, we have had Q&A sessions before, but
Oh,
this is
right.
the first one since the COVID hiatus. We were
Right.
off for a
Okay.
couple years due to COVID.
Hmm.
We did have Q&A sessions, since 2003. We're just starting that
Hmm.
up again. Any other changes? I'm going to do an audience survey as well, and to see if they other things that people would like. I want to have well, we have live music. Well, we've had that for 15 years. Live
Mhm.
music. Let's see what other changes. Great, lots of great concessions. We're gonna start having some parties, and I haven't started the alcohol yet. I think it's probably good at a film festival to have a little wine, but we haven't started
Okay.
that yet. We'll probably start that next year. Um, taking it taking it one step at a time after the COVID hiatus. Um,
Mhm.
what changes? It's been pretty stable these last 2 years.
Mhm. Yeah.
We haven't added
Are there
anything
are
new.
there other are there other things you would like to do, maybe down the line with the festival or
Yes. More Q&A sessions, and we want to have possibly a screenwriting workshop, and also some parties. Like I said, we want to start the receptions and parties, and that's when the wine will flow a little bit. Those are all steps that need to be taken, alcohol license and all that. Last year and this year, we're pretty much staying with our original model to just get going again, after a couple years off. So,
Mhm. Mhm. And you mentioned concessions. Does that mean will there be food available? I guess the first film rolls at 2:15 on the 5th, and then the last one ends into the evening. Will there be opportunities for people to get food on location there?
absolutely, you can get food before 2 o'clock. You can get food at the intermission in the afternoon at 4:20. 4:20 is a nice 20-minute intermission, and then before we start Al's film, and then at 5:30 is the dinner break, and it's a whole hour and 5 minutes, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, and you can buy. We'll have pizza, salads, drinks of all kinds, coffee, tea, sodas, um, candy, chips, pretzels, popcorn, you name it. In case you want to stick around and listen to the music, it's According to Bazooka. Renee and Richard from According to Bazooka, they're doing a duo set. So there's plenty of food to eat during the dinner break. A lot of people go out and grab something, but there's two options.
Great. Well, I wanted to step back from this specific event then for just a moment and ask you a bigger question about sort of the state of independent filmmaking in the United States. And, just doing a quick search and myself and noticing how many festivals there are across the country, just noticing how many films, if you just Google independent films, there's so many. I mean, are we in a heyday of independent filmmaking today? Do you think? And I guess just if you had thoughts on why you think independent filmmaking, if I'm correct in that assessment, why it's doing really well, and why you think that's important uh, for us as a
Yeah, we're
society.
yeah we're totally in a heyday of not only independent filmmaking but film festivals. Yes, a lot of film festivals are popping up. But independent filmmaking is so important because it's may have started 20 or 30 years ago when it used to be a lot mainly studio films, but it's given uh, filmmakers a lot of freedom to not be tied to the studio and not have to, in the old days we've all seen movies or stories about pitching your story to the executives or trying to get your film done, and it's so much better now. You can just have an idea and make a film, and you can have a low budget. Many low budget films are becoming more successful. Sundance Film Festival has a lab you can join, and a lot of low budget film festival films do very well at Sundance. It's just a heyday. It really is a heyday. I like that word. So it's a great time to be doing it. At the same time, there's a lot of competition. Um, a lot of film festivals have a lot more competition now. So you have to be strong in your convictions. I talked to some guy a couple years ago, and he said he wanted to do film, but there's too many films, so he gave up. He says, "I'll just go back to being a carpenter." And the point is, I think if you want to do films and that's what you love, just do it. You know, someone will notice your film. Many people will notice your film. Just making yourself happy and the people around you by fulfilling your passion is so important in life. So just don't give up. You know, there is more competition and the films are getting better and better. But just do it. You have to do it if that's what you truly want to do.
No, it's just like there's a lot of books out there being published or being written and published, and they're not all published by big name houses. And
Hmm.
there are the resources available to do that at a smaller scale. And uh, so, absolutely. Well, Judith,
Yeah.
this has been wonderful. This has been wonderful. Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much. Yeah,
joining us
memoirs.
today.
A lot of people are writing memoirs these days. Yeah.
There you
Thank you
go.
so much.
Right.
It's just been great. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, let me just remind everybody then that this year's fest is November 5th at the Veterans Memorial Theater at 203 East 14th Street. If you recall, we actually had an interview with the manager of that theater in the last few months. So always good to make a plug for that theater as well at the same time. Doors open at 1:30, if I'm correct. The first
Mhm.
film rolls at 2:15. Tickets are
Mhm.
available at filmfreeway.com, Watermelon Music, and At the
Mhm.
Door. And as Judith mentioned, for more information, you can
Mhm.
visit davisfilmfest.org. Well, thank you everyone out there for joining us. This is Tim Gaffany, and you've been watching In the Studio on Davis Media Access.